What's up, everybody? Just getting things situated, trying to adjust my lighting, see if that helps out a bit. Okay, it's at 100%. Probably one of the best things I ever did was get the Wise light bulbs. Easy to control. You can change colors, do whatever you want. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. So go over some things. First and foremost, since the last live to now, I have purchased a drone and really enjoy it. I like it a lot, and I'm glad I bought it. I'm glad I have it. Um, it's an adjustment. I still got a lot to learn, a lot to practice, but so far so good. I put out a video today, just a simple video, just flying the drone, trying to get used to it. I will use it in the field. It won't be every single time. I think it has its place, but I don't think it has its place all the time. Uh, you know, I think one of the biggest downfalls is the fact that the battery life doesn't last very long. 3 batteries, you're going to be done within an hour. Maybe hour and 15 minutes at best. You would think an hour and a half, but I don't think I would get that long because each battery is supposed to give me 31 minutes. But I think that's under perfect conditions. I think they derive that particular number from it probably just hovering in a perfect environment, no wind, no nothing, and then timing it to see how long it lasts. But when you're actually flying it and moving it and doing and filming and doing all these different things, it reduces that battery life fairly quickly. I think the total flight time that I did today was just roughly around 18 minutes, and I was already down to like 25% battery life. So I used 75% of it in just 17 minutes. So that's one of the biggest downfalls. And it's not just this drone or anything. It's all drones have that issue where batteries just do not last on this equipment. So, but it's a great tool. I played it safe today and didn't really go down low and get into areas to get a better look. I want to get better at flying before I do that. And so I stayed at a pretty good altitude. I think I was roughly around, I ranged from anywhere from 115 feet to about 135 feet, just staying there above the tree line. So I didn't hit any trees and stuff like that. Just kind of giving perspective, especially of the area and how large this area really is. I've been going to this particular location for at least 2 years now, and I don't think I've tapped into 10% of it. And in the areas that I have been in, we have gotten some pretty good stuff. We've gotten structures and prints, and we've gotten recorded some vocals and stuff like that. But I'm a big believer that these things migrate. So I think they come and go. I think it's a matter of catching them at the right time, at the right place. Because adjacent, and I go over in the video, if you watch the video, that adjacent to the 3,000 is another 9,000. So they can move back and forth very, very easily between the two properties. And then, of course, behind the property, there's a barbed wire fence, which is a barrier from my county to the next county, and the woods continue on through that too. So very simple for one of these creatures to step over the fence and go into another county and spend time there too, which I find likely only for the simple fact that Deer move, hogs move. They're constantly grazing, finding better places to eat. And I think these things follow them, or at least know where they're at. So if they need something, they can go to those areas and get what they need to eat. Um, but it's not just meat. I mean, there's so much to eat in Florida. In the wilderness, I think they can pretty much survive year round easily, without having to um, worry about just deer or hogs or whatever. You know what I mean? Um, I don't think they're out there hunting squirrels and birds and stuff like that. I don't think uh, something of that size, that's much of a meal. They'd probably have to eat quite a few of those things to get a full stomach. So, um, but back to the drone. Um, it was a lot of fun. I played it reserved. Like I said, I stayed at a certain high altitude. I would come down, go through the trails, just basically showing that I can maneuver this thing through, especially some of the larger trails. I could do a smaller trail, but I really have to take my time about it, which wouldn't be very productive with the battery life. Um, but it's definitely a great tool to get over something and check out another area or something like that. Or, pre-plan. You can fly this thing in areas that you're planning on going into to get a better overlay of what that area looks like, what you may encounter as far as terrain goes and stuff like that, because we do have a lot of swamps. The but again, like I said, it's this thing has a lot of different areas that it can be helpful in the research area, let alone hopefully at some point catching something moving, catching something, going from one location to another. That would be fantastic. That would be awesome. Um, I don't have all the great stuff like thermal or night vision or anything like that. So I can only fly during the day. And even though you're flying above something, it's very, the canopy is so thick, it's still going to be difficult. These things can still hide very well. Even though this particular um, drone is very quiet. You can hear it, but it's more like hearing a gnat, that tiny little buzz. Because at that altitude, it's actually hard to find. I mean, this drone is very tiny, and even with the propellers all extended out and ready to flight, it's not very big at all, and it only weighs 249 grams, so it's very tiny. So I lose sight of eye, and I know where it's at, and I can't see it, and so it's very, very tiny. Like I said, it's like a gnat. Um, one of the key things that I want to bring up is the fact that drones don't record sound. Okay. So like in the video, I fill that void with music or something just to, instead of just sitting there in complete silence. The reason why, these drones, well, let me back up. There's a video that went viral, and it was of a guy driving his truck down the road because he heard there was a Bigfoot in the area. And so he's driving. He says, I got my drone and I'm going to look for this thing and blah, blah, blah. And then the next scene, boom, he's flying a drone over a Bigfoot walking through the forest. And in this video, you can literally hear the Sasquatch foot crunching through the snow. You know what I mean? That was the very first keen thing that told me that video was fake. Drones don't have sound. The reason why they don't have sound is if you had a microphone on the drone, you're going to pick up the propeller wash. I mean, it's going to be loud from that close to the props. It's going to be very loud. And that's all you're going to hear is this loud buzz from the props. So that's why there is no sound on these things whatsoever. Even if it was right in front of me, 5 feet in front of me, and I'm talking to it, that buzz would just drown out everything. So that guy was definitely hoaxing. Not only that is, I mean, what are the chances that you go out there and immediately pull over and launch and you've got this thing in your sights and you're following it and stuff like that. I don't believe it. I don't believe it at all. I think it's a fake video. I think a lot of other people think it's fake, especially people that do fly drones, especially researchers that use drones. And there's quite a few researchers that do use the drones as a tool. They would probably all agree and say, yeah, that's a fake video. There's just no way. And they talk about, he says certain things, in the video that just doesn't make sense and stuff like that. So to me, that was fake. That was fake. If I find something of noteworthiness, then in the video itself, I will probably put an arrow, or I'll probably do a voiceover and say, hey, watch where I put the arrow. You're going to see something moving or something like that. But as far as actually hearing sound, it's not going to happen. So like I said, I think that guy was just hoaxing, and there's a lot of them out there. That's something we deal with as researchers on a constant basis. Let me put this in there. So that's one of the things we deal with in research is the hoaxing. We get an email or something like that, somebody saying, hey, I got this, and this, and this. And really shortly through questioning and asking specific questions and stuff like that, you start realizing that, okay, something's not making sense here. You know what I mean? And there are people out there that have no issue wasting a researcher's time. They just want attention. They want somebody to listen to them, and they'll waste your time. Ran into that last year. There was a guy claiming, all these Sasquatch on this property, and he can't get in there because they keep running him off and scaring him off and stuff like that, and I've gone out to that property a couple of times. It's not very large. I've been from one end to the other. I haven't found any signs at all, nothing. I've walked that property everywhere, and nothing has, threatened me or scared me or anything like that. I think one of the biggest questions that popped in my head at talking to the person is he was very, very, very clear on where the property was and what the property was. And I knew it very well. It's not far from me. I'm born and raised here, so I knew exactly where he was talking about. And it's that property's visited quite a bit. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's crowded or anything by no means. You go out there, you'll run across a jogger or maybe a family walking with their kids or something like that. So what brought up the question is this guy claims that he has a bunch of trail cams out there. And I'm like, why does he have trail cams out in a public property? You know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense why he has those out there when there's people walking around and stuff like that. So I don't get it. But then he showed me a picture, and that kind of sealed it for me. He showed me a picture and claiming, oh, look at this. This is a female, and you can see her breasts, and to her side, you can see a juvenile standing right beside her, and blah, blah, blah. And I looked at this picture, and I see absolutely nothing. I couldn't even pick good pareidolia out of it. It was just, there was absolutely nothing there. So I didn't give it another thought. Like I said, some people just, they want that attention. They want to be heard, and they just don't realize that they're wasting precious time that you could be someplace else and doing some good research and stuff like that. So, and that's a location that like a drone wouldn't work. You couldn't use a drone there. The canopy is too thick, and you really wouldn't see a whole lot. Now, another downfall other than battery life and no sound is the fact that is signal. Signal is very, very important, evidently, with a drone, because I went out yesterday and to do what I did today, just take this thing on a test flight, run it through some paces, see what it can do, see what it can't do, stuff like that. And I wasn't really far. I was probably, I don't know, probably 300-400 yards from the drone, maybe 500 max, but somewhere in that range. And let me say, hey Randy, how are you doing, buddy? Was of a friend new to the channel a few months or so. I gotta land that. That's up to Ocala Forest and month parties. Yeah, the Ocala National Forest is a great place. One of our teammates lives up there in that area. His name is Bobby. So that's one of the things we discuss is, periodically taking trips up there. That's about a 3.5 hour drive from me to get up to the Ocala National Forest. But me, Bobby, and Jimmy do plan stuff like that to go up there and do an investigation and stuff like that. I don't have it with me. But Bobby and Jimmy did get a very large casting of a 3-toed print. I don't know Jimmy knows it just like that, but I want to say it was 15, 16 inches long, very distinct toes, distinct heel. And that was at the Ocala National Forest. Matter of fact, when we were in Ocala for the Bigfoot conference, we had that casting with us so people can look at it. And they were surprised when we said this was actually in the Ocala National Forest. The Ocala Forest is actually frequented by a lot of researchers, a lot of them. So, but it's a large place and there's plenty of room for everybody. So, what was I saying about the drone? The Wi-Fi. So anyways, I was flying this thing. Yeah, Randy, I had a 4-wheeler for a while. I sold it last year because I just wasn't getting the use out of it that I thought I would get. Because most of the properties that we go to and stuff like that don't allow any side-by-sides, 4-wheelers, or anything like that. The property that I did the video today that I go out there quite frequently doesn't allow any vehicles, nothing. Matter of fact, they don't allow camping. They don't allow fires. Basically, all you can do out there is hike, ride bikes, walk your dogs, stuff like that. It's a lot of the areas I go to are very restrictive when it comes to those things. And I understand why, because there are people that take advantage of that and go out there and just tear up the territory and act like fools, and you find beer cans everywhere and stuff like that. The place I go to is very, very clean. It's very rare that I find any piece of trash on the ground. And when I do, I go ahead and pick it up and throw it in my backpack so we can keep the place pristine. Here's the only downfall with the Ocala National Forest. Per capita, it's probably the worst place in the world for ticks. There are so many ticks out there. It's unbelievable. And every time I've been in the forest when I was younger and came out with ticks. I can go to a bunch of the properties I go to now and spend all day in there and never get a tick. I might get one tick a year. But man, if I go to Ocala and break brush and go out there looking around, I might come out with 50 of them on me, and that's probably a small number. And I'm single. I can't come home and have my wife check me over and say, hey, do you see any ticks on my back or whatever, so I got to try to find them as best I can. So you try to go out there with as much precautions as you can, but it's so freaking hot in Florida. You try to dress down just to stay cool. So, protecting yourself from stuff like that is very difficult. But definitely it's a great place. Ocala is a great place. Green Swamp is a great place. Dupree is a great place. J.W. Corbett's a great place. Stuff like that. So, yeah, I don't think I'd want to wake up a Florida Panther myself. That's actually one of the things that I worry about when I go into the areas I go into, because like especially the one I go into right now, there's already been sightings of panther and black bear in there. So um, I do. That's my biggest worry. Being attacked by a skunk ape or whatever is not priority on my list. It's all the other animals out there that can actually do me harm. I think number one on that list isn't even a panther or a bear. It would be a hog. I think a hog is the biggest threat. Not only is it dangerous and it's large and it's strong, and not only will it kill you, it will eat you afterwards. Is just the sheer numbers. You know what I mean? You walk into, I haven't, luckily for me, I don't come across hogs very often. But if you ever run up into a pack of them, especially if there's an aggressive male or mother, you could be in a world of harm. You'd be climbing a tree really quick. So, but like I was saying, well, back to the drone. So I was flying this thing, and I got about, like I said, somewhere between 300 to 500 yards away, and I was cruising it down a trail, just following this trail. And then the trail took a turn, and so I steered the aircraft, and I'm going down the trail, and had no issues all day, none whatsoever, until that moment. And now I'm only flying about, I think it said I was at 6 feet 2 inches off the ground. That was it. So I was trying to just give that person point of view walking this trail. And then all of a sudden I lost connection. All of a sudden the screen was telling me that I'm not connected to the aircraft and stuff like that. I don't know if I accidentally hit the joystick to try to move it or back it up and get it back into signal range. I don't know. But I know when I finally got signal back, all I saw was shrubs and grass. And I said, that's not a good sign. So evidently I had crashed and I needed to go find this drone. So no, Randy, I'm in Highlands County. So if anybody ever wants to hit me up, I'm in Highlands County, Central Florida, South Central. Boom. Tampa's about a 2-hour drive from me. About a 2-hour drive. And that's mostly due to traffic. I'm probably an hour and a half south of Orlando, and Miami's about 2 hours from me. So kind of centrally located where I can get to stuff fairly reasonable time. So being a rookie at flying this droid, the first thing I did was, oh crap, what happened? You know what I mean? So I went ahead and took the phone off of the controller and started heading that way to find the drone. I get to the location where visibly on the screen I knew where I was at. So I got to that location, and I'm searching, and I'm actually recording the whole time because it is what it is, So I can't find this thing. I can't find it anywhere. I'm looking around, and I probably looked for a good 30 minutes, and I couldn't find it. And I was like, man, this thing has an automatic emergency thing where it goes straight up to a specific altitude that I have set for it, and then it comes back and lands itself. So I'm thinking, well, I wonder if that kicked in and it went straight up, and that's what it hit was branches in the tree and stuff. So I'm looking up in the trees to see if it's stuck in a tree or something like that, which would absolutely bring its own challenges. Nothing. I can't find this thing anywhere. And then it dawned on me that when I was learning the controls and going through the menus, there was a find your drone button. So I hike all the way back to the vehicle. I reconnect everything back to it. I turn it back on, and I'm thinking, hopefully because I was very low battery on the drone, and hopefully the batteries weren't dead. And I clicked on it, and it was really cool because a map comes up and it shows me where I'm at, and it shows me where the drone's at. And so I started going back, and sure enough, when I was within feet of it, there was another button that says, that it can make a beeping sound. So I hit that, and all of a sudden the drone starts beeping, beep, beep, beep. And I was able to find it immediately. I don't know how many times I walked past this drone, but it was like right there on the side of the trail. And why I didn't see it, I have no idea. It's like it just popped up out of nowhere. Um, so I pick up the drone, I check it over, everything looks okay, but I want to get back to the vehicle. I want to put a new battery in it, and I want to take it for another test flight to make sure I had not broken anything, because this is, a fairly expensive piece of equipment, and to me, it's an investment, and I'd hate to lose it the first time I'm out. So I get back and I do this flight, and I rotate it and up and down. I do everything. It's perfect. No damage whatsoever. Everything is fantastic. I get home, and now I want to. You guys can come up this winter and camp out on my land. Hey, Randy, absolutely. I mean, that there's nothing out of possibility. Um, we're. Are you having any activity or anything like that on the land? Because we're definitely into camping. Matter of fact, I my big months for camping is during the winter. So no, how many acres is it, Randy? How big's the property? But I do a camp out. Was that 2 acres or? Okay. Is it surrounded by any other forests or any other land that that kind of makes it broader? Actually, I mean, oh, okay, good. And how much do you think total? Give just an estimate total. I've never heard of Hog Valley, but I'll definitely Google it and look at it. Um, so back to what I was saying is, so I get back to the house, I start downloading everything, I take the SD card out and everything, and sure enough, this drone never stopped videotaping, even though I lost signal, even though it crashed, it continued to record, and it actually caught me when I was originally looking for it, walk right past it, and walk by, and even walked like literally right to it, but I never saw it on the ground. Um, so it was really interesting video. You even see me pick it up, and it actually catches my face in the video where I'm looking it over, make sure everything's okay and stuff like that. So we were good to go. The only reason that I didn't put out any of that video, which was the original plan, was, and that's why I got an SD card for the drone, was to put this stuff out there, and I don't mind crashing. I don't mind embarrassing myself. I have no issue with it whatsoever. I mean, I'm the first person to laugh at myself. So I was going to put the video out there anyways and show people, yep, this is what happened. This is how my day went, but my issue is I can't get the footage from the drone and my phone on the same platform so I could put the stuff together into one film. If somebody's got suggestions, please email me and explain it to me or walk me through it. I tried putting everything on my Google Drive, but then it wouldn't read it and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm gonna look at all that, Randy. I'll definitely Google and look at that area. Matter of fact, you can email me at BFFG Bigfoot Research at gmail.com. And if you want to give me more information or something like that. But I have no issue, planning something and doing a weekend camp out or something like that, and, just doing some research. Sometimes we might get lucky. Maybe it's an area that you have something going on and you're just completely unaware. I don't know. Those things have happened, but I'm always up for an adventure. I'm always up to be in the woods. And I say that in my videos all the time, that win, lose, or draw. No, I don't. None of us are from the Tampa area. There is another research group. It's Marie DeMont with Mid Florida Bigfoot Research Group. She's actually out of Tampa. that area. And her group, they go up to Ocala a lot. They go to the Green Swamp a lot and stuff like that. There is another guy with Central Florida Bigfoot, Matt Larson, that does stuff in that area. That he has a series called The Corridor, where he has an area there that he was researching for a while. But I believe he's moved. I think he's up north somewhere. I want to say he moved to Kentucky. And so he won't be doing anything down there anymore. I don't know if he's even going to continue Bigfoot research when he gets to Kentucky. I'm not really sure. He's kind of been out of sight, out of mind, so I really don't know what's going on with him. So. But what I was saying was I'm trying to get everything onto one platform so I can put it into my editor and then create the film so I can get it out to you guys. I couldn't do that. I worked on that thing yesterday for at least 8 hours, maybe 10 hours, and I got so frustrated with it, I just stopped. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go back out tomorrow and do something again. So what I did was I took the SD card out of the drone. So I'm not running an SD card at all. So whatever the drone sees is automatically being downloaded to my phone. So now, when I'm doing my self interviews and stuff like that, or any kind of editorial in the film, that's there and the footage is there, so I can easily put it all together. And today I had a lot to do, so I couldn't spend all day out in the woods. I had to, do the guy thing and wash the car and clean the car out, stuff like that. And literally while I'm sitting there getting the car washed and stuff like that, I can sit there and edit and do all this other stuff, I didn't have a whole lot to have to review because usually I review everything that I film. And, just to make sure there's no errors or there's anything, abnormal that I don't want in the film or something like that. So I was able to do all that today sitting in the car. And then when I got home, I completely watched the whole thing myself just to make sure everything looked good. And then I put it out there. So, but it was an exciting day. So today I went out there better prepared, went a little more reserved than I did the day before. So there was no issues. I didn't have any problems or anything like that. And, accomplished what I wanted to accomplish, which was more practice flying the drone, getting footage, and trying new things. In this video, I do get low. I go down a trail. I do a side scan of the tree line, little things that I want to use this thing for in the future. You know what I mean? But like I said, the biggest thing is connection. Today I had no connection issues whatsoever. Ranger Bob has a biplane. He sees everything. I don't know. Who's Ranger Bob? Oh, are you just talking about the powers that be? I think you're right. I've discussed this before in the past, Randy. There was a time in this location that I'm going to, we ran into a situation like that. Now, everybody knows I do not make any qualms about it. I am who I am. I have my beliefs. I have my theories. I do not believe anything that's paranormal or supernatural when it comes to Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Skunkape, or anything like that. I'm a true believer that's a living, breathing, trying to live, thriving creature in the woods, just like all the other creatures that are in the woods. With bears and deer and hog and everything else. It's just trying to cut out its nick, survive, live until it dies, and so forth. But when you have these crazy things happening, it could be, we'll go with that word, Randy, we'll call him Ranger Bob. I think the Ranger Bob entities are the ones that are actually interfering. I think they're the ones that's actually creating the issues that we run into in the forest. And I say that I didn't have that viewpoint for a long time, but we went out one time and it was me and Jimmy, and we met up with a film crew that was doing a small documentary on what we were doing and stuff like that. And one of the documentary people was flying a drone. doing some aerial footage of us, from overhead and stuff like that. Well, they said, just do your normal thing. Pretend we're not here. So we did. We hiked. You either keep up or don't keep up. That's up to you, but we're going to do our normal thing. So at some point, we had actually gotten, into some deep woods and left the guy that was filming by the drone. Now, the director or whoever she was, the one that was actually doing the interviewing and talking and stuff like that, was with us. So the fourth guy was flying the drone, and we had left him. So at some point, he calls her and says, hey, where are you guys at? Blah, blah, blah. Well, there's no way I was going to be able to guide him to where we're at, especially when I don't know where he's at. So I said, hey, I'll go back. I'll hike out and I'll find him and I'll bring him to us. Y'all just stay here. So the whole time I'm hiking out of the woods to get to the main trailhead, I hear the drone. I hear it clear as day. It's in the video. If you go back, you plainly hear the video that you can hear this buzzing noise of this drone. So I get out to the trailhead and I don't see him anywhere. But I think I hear the drone going down this other trail. So I'd start walking down this trail to see maybe he went down that trail. I got maybe 100 yards, 200 yards down that trail, and I just got the EPGs. Like, I just don't feel comfortable. So I turned around and went back. And when I went back, he was standing where I had come out of the woods originally. So we were talking and everything, and I said, hey, just go ahead and land the drone, and because you're not going to be able to fly it in the woods that we're going into, you won't be able to see us anyways. So he looks at me and he goes, no, I got the drone in the backpack. And I was like, well, that's not it that I hear. And he's like, no. And he even pulled it out and showed it to me. He goes, no, I got the drone right here. So we're looking around in the sky and we can't find this drone. Can't see it, nothing. You know what I mean? So we go back into the woods, we meet with the other guys, and we're sitting there talking, and you can hear the drone the whole time. And we're actually discussing the drone. Like, I can hear it. Do y'all see it? And everything else. And that drone stayed up there for quite some time. It followed us and listened to us for quite some time. We never did see it. That was the first time ever that I had been in the woods that when I got home, I had issues. I had timestamps changed. I had video and pictures that just vanished. Almost to the point where I thought I screwed up and I didn't hit record, and I thought I was recording and I wasn't. And it wasn't until about a week later I was going through all my stuff and I found the lost footage, and it was literally re-stamped with the date December 31st, 1969. There's no way I would have found that. I would have never found that video dated December 31st, 1969. First of all, there was no internet back then. There was no technology back then, that it would show up at that date. It just made absolutely zero sense whatsoever. And I actually have a screenshot of it. I still have that photo and I haven't changed it. It's still at that date because the next photo is 2011. But yet this one is the very first. It's the bottom of the pile, December 31st, 1969. So that's when I started realizing that it can't be a Sasquatch because he's going to choose a date. I don't think so. That may be another, entity, FWC or whoever is the ones actually doing this, because we had hit this area pretty hard for a while. So it's pretty obvious what we were doing out there. I mean, it wouldn't take a rocket scientist to see us over and over and over and realize what we're doing, especially if you find my truck and I got Bigfoot stuff all over the truck. So I think either we were getting too close or they didn't like the fact that we even thought they were out there and wanted to find some way to discourage us or something like that. So that might have been what took place or whatever. Shortly after that, I can't remember the timeline, a month later, a week later, I don't know. It was after that. We had left audio equipment out there with brand new batteries. We said, we're going to leave this out here till the batteries die. So we went out there a following week, and I went out there to get the audio equipment. So I think it ran for 36 hours straight before the batteries died. The whole time during the recording, it's pouring rain. I mean, that's all you hear on the recorder is that static sound from rain. And I timestamp everything, so I know exactly what time this and this was taking place. I just got to do a little bit of math and say, okay, this is 11 o'clock at night. So around 11 o'clock at night, it's pouring down rain, and all of a sudden you hear gunshots, a lot of gunshots. Now, this area does not allow hunting, okay? It's a preserve. There's no hunting, fishing, camping. You're not allowed to build a fire. Like I said, it's strictly for hiking, biking, and stuff like that. But you cannot do any hunting or anything like that. So I'm like, wow, why is all these guns going? It's a lot of guns, and you can tell it's different calibers. You can tell the difference between pistols and rifles. But there was a lot of gunfire going on that evening, and which made no sense because I'm prior military. I like to shoot. I was an avid hunter. And if I came to you, Randy, and said, hey, Randy, it's 11 o'clock at night, pouring down rain. You want to go shoot? You're probably going to tell me no. Let's pick a better day with better weather, and we'll go out and shoot all day long. You know what I mean? So it didn't make sense that these people were out there shooting a lot. It was a lot of rounds at that late at night in the rain. Shortly after that, I noticed that there was a major drop in activity out there. We weren't finding the things that we were finding. We weren't getting the vocals, the wood knocks, and stuff like that. So in my mind, I'm thinking, did we get too close? And, Ranger Bob decided that I either need to scare these creatures out of the area so they're not found, or we need to eliminate them altogether. I don't know what happened. I don't think and for a long time, I felt a little bit of guilt that because of my actions going out there looking for these things, I caused their demise. And that kind of bothered me. But, a year later, I'm still going out there, and sure enough, I find a fresh footprint. I'm talking so fresh that when I found the print, it was actually slowly filling full of water because it was in the swamp area, and an area where it looks like dry land, but when you step on it, your footprint will remain, but it will fill full of water. And it was filling full of water, so it was fresh. Whatever this footprint was, it happened just shortly after I walked in there, and it was at a location where I was not supposed to be at. I actually jumped a fence and then went down an old easement that separated this county and the next county and went into the swamps that way. Nobody else would have went in that area. Nobody would have had any reason to say, hey, let's jump this fence and go that way. And then I found that print. So it might have heard me coming and then got out of Dodge. I don't know. But if I remember right, there's a video in there. It's not only a video, but there's a short I did also of this footprint, and I measured it. Now, I want to say it was, God, what was it? 12 inches, 13 inches? But it was 5 inches wide at the ball and like 4 inches wide at the heel. So it was actually a fairly decent footprint, Enduro up there on the trails. It was for years. There was one big guy. Well, Randy, it's a difficult thing. I say this a lot, and I don't try to say it to be a bad person. I'm just trying to speak the truth, and I base everything on integrity. And the researchers that I associate with are the same way. It's all about integrity. And these guys that post a lot of videos, or evidence, or tell a lot of stories about all these numerous times they saw Bigfoot and this and that. It throws a big red flag to me because I've been doing this for a while. The guys I do this with have been doing it for a while, and 99.9% of the time we don't get anything. It's a very difficult task, but yet these guys go out there every single weekend and get something, and it just doesn't make sense to me. Absolutely doesn't make sense to me. And why aren't they sharing this information? You know, they'll make all these claims. Oh, I've seen it 7 times. I saw it on this date. I saw it on this, but yet they have no proof. It's just them telling you their story. You know what I mean? And stories are great to hear, but you need receipts. You need something come with it. If it's just a person like yourself, Randy, that you're not a researcher, you're just enjoying the outdoors, and you come across this thing, it walks across you while you're riding your four-wheeler or something like that, and it surprises you. uh, I'll listen to your story because I can listen to you and talk to you and tell if you're telling me the truth or not. And um, you wouldn't have had time to get your phone out. You wouldn't have time unless you're running a GoPro the whole time that you're riding. You're probably not going to catch this thing on film and stuff like that. Um, what I'm talking about are actual researchers that are saying that I've seen this thing 10 times, 7 times, 12 times, whatever. I've seen different species of them. I've seen different this and different that. I've also seen a dog man. I've also seen, this creature, that creature. That's a major red flag. You know what I mean? Because I'm out there all the time. You know, everybody knows I am out there every single weekend, you know, and that's not happening to me. And I'm in a viable area where there has been documented sightings. I found footprints. I found structures. I've recorded vocals. I've gotten wood knocks. So, all the anecdotal evidence tells me I'm in a viable area. And I go out there a lot because the more you go out there, you better your chances of actually coming across this thing. But these guys go out all the time, every single time and catch it. Every single time, but never on video or nothing. So it's a huge red flag to me. It's a huge red flag. You know, um, you look at Expedition Bigfoot or Finding Bigfoot and stuff like that. Ran for 10 seasons, and same thing, just anecdotal evidence and stories. That's what we have. Occasionally, somebody will come out with a video. Occasionally, somebody will come out with a cast or something like that. So they're bringing some validity to what they're telling you. You know what I mean? But it's the researchers or the guys that say they're out there researching I have an issue with, that are saying these things. Bears come on the property at night time trying to get to the coolest. Scare them off. Yeah, black bears are a definite threat, Randy. I talked to a guy at the Bigfoot conference that worked for the Seminole Reservation. He was hired to deal with animals and deal with certain things. He was out there for a long time. Matter of fact, he actually had a gig with, I want to say it was the Discovery Channel, and he had a show. I don't think it was lasted very long, but he had a show, and so he kind of educated me on the black bears. And he said the one thing about a black bear is playing dead don't work. He goes, if they attack you, their full intention is to kill you. So a black bear is extremely dangerous compared to a lot of other bears that, so when you see a black bear, you want to be very, very, very cautious. You know what I mean? I've even thought I have one, but it's in the backpack. I probably should have something hanging off of me, like a whistle or something like that, and blow the whistle and stuff like that, Oh, yeah. My area, Randy, we were told there's no black bears at all. And that was back in the 80s. And matter of fact, my brother, when we were kids, were camped out in basically this area that I research now. And I remember we were playing as kids in the campground area portion of it, which is on the 9,000 acre side. And my brother, I remember we were all playing tag and stuff, what cousins do and stuff like that. And my brother comes running basically in tears that he saw a bear. There was a bear. It walked out of the woods and it was standing there by a tree and it was watching me, and he was scared to death. And this is late 70s, probably early 80s. So, of course, my family freaks out. They call the forest rangers. They come over. My brother's telling them, I saw a bear, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, look, there are no bears here. We've never had bears here. There's no bears, and blah, blah, blah. We have bears everywhere here now. Matter of fact, now they're a nuisance where, we're allowed to shoot them if they're causing property damage and stuff like that. I've had them run across the road in front of me on my way to work and stuff like that. But what made me think about my brother's incident was back then, maybe they were right. Back then, there were no bears, but there are bears now. So what did my brother see? Because you're talking, I'm 55 years old now. And so back then when I was just a little kid, Bigfoot wasn't on the mind. We didn't know anything about Bigfoot. I hadn't seen Boggy Creek. I hadn't seen anything that dealt with Bigfoot. So I had no idea what Bigfoot was. So I'm pretty sure my brother did not know either. What if he saw a Sasquatch back then? What if that's what he saw when that thing walked out of the woods and was watching him? Who knows? See what I'm saying? I don't know. It's one of those things that you go back and look at. I do it all the time where now that I research all the time, I go back to my hunting days and I can pick out certain things that make me think that, maybe I've had encounters or had these things in my area and didn't realize it and just didn't know. Because I was ignorant of what they can do or what they're capable of doing. And who knows, I bring up this one story where I was up in North Carolina at the Uwharrie National Forest doing a squirrel hunt in the winter. It was freezing. 13 degrees or something like that. It was unbelievably cold. And there was four of us out there. And I broke off on my own, go for a hike, see if I see any squirrels. It was actually too cold for squirrels. They were bedded down, so we weren't really doing any luck. But I was going around this ridge on this side of I wouldn't say in Florida, it would be a mountain, but there it was probably only a foothill because it was probably elevation of 1,000 feet or something like that. But I'm working my way around it and got tired, started getting a little hot, and I didn't want to overheat in the winter because that'll bring on hypothermia. So I wanted to cool my body down a little bit. So I sat down on this boulder and I was just relaxing. And I was looking down a valley, and then it comes up the other side. So all I see is trees across from me in this valley. And then the other side was nothing but trees. Well, something came down that other side. I mean, I could see the trees moving as this thing worked its way down, and it was loud. It sounded like somebody had pushed a truck over the hill, and it was just crashing through the trees. And then it stopped, and then everything was quiet. I thought maybe a boulder had broke loose and was rolling down. I just couldn't see it because of the tree cover. And then it finally lodged itself and stopped. That's what I always thought. But looking back on it now, I'm like, what if I was bluff charged? What if it was on the other ridge seeing me on this ridge and saw me as a threat and didn't want me to work my way over to the other side or something like that? I don't know. But as I'm saying, as you go back and you look at these things and you realize, there could have been more to it than what I thought. So, but I'll show y'all. This is the drone. Okay. This is not the brand of the drone. That's just the box. I had to buy a specific case for it. But this is it right here. So I got one battery in the drone over here, and then these are extra batteries in the middle, and then the hand control. Very small, very tiny drone. It's only 249 grams. So I recommend anybody who's going to get into that definitely go with something that small, because you don't need to be licensed. You could just be a recreational flyer. But there is a class called, I think it was called Trust. You take it online. It's free and it's very easy. You're supposed to take that, and then that way, if you ever stopped or asked, you can just show them that certificate that you took that class. But if not, if you go with the bigger drones, anything over 250, then you have to take the FAA 107 class. And I heard that is very, very tough, very difficult. They say you practically need a pilot's license to understand it and take that test and stuff like that. There's actually classes you take that you pay for to help you pass that test that you have to pay for. Um, but those are drones that they consider you a commercial pilot. Those are people that actually use their drones for commercial purposes and stuff like that. Um, so I don't need anything like that. I just need to be able to unpack it, fly it, and do my thing. So um, that's about it. I usually don't think about where I'm going to go until late in the week, Wednesday, Thursday, and definitely on Friday. I start thinking about where I'm going to go this weekend. I have numerous locations I go to. I like to mix it up. Like I'll give this place a break for a while, go to another location for the day or something like that. I'm going to start naming them, so maybe Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, so today I'm going to go to the Alpha site. Next week I'm going to go to Bravo, and the following week I'll go to Charlie or whatever. And then in between, there's always things that pop up that, I can go to other locations and stuff like that. Right now, Jimmy is planning a trip to Eastern Tennessee. It's basically an area north of Gatlinburg, so it's going to be a beautiful area and stuff like that. We're going to do some research. He had some incident up there when he was up there and wants to go back and revisit that area and check it out. I don't know yet if I'm going to be able to make it. It's such short notice because they want to go the first weekend of September. So, and that's a long drive. It's a 12-hour drive to get up there, spend 3 days and then 12-hour drive back. So I don't know. It's like I said, it's really short notice for me. So, but we'll see. I do have other things planned. I do camp out Thanksgiving and Christmas. I enjoy those because that's a point where I can bring out the thermals and I can bring out the night vision and do stuff like that. And have fun with a lot more toys. Now that area that I camp at, I can't fly the drone. It's posted no drone flying, so I won't be able to do that. But it's not far from the 3,000 acres I go to, so I can always jump in the vehicle, drive over there, and research that area as well. So, again, I play it by ear and stuff like that. And hopefully I won't be by myself this year. Hopefully other people will join me. But if not, I'm still going, still going to do it and enjoy myself. So, but that's where we're at. I just want to touch base with you guys on my new toy and what my plans are with the toy. It's a lot of fun. I think it's going to be a valuable tool in my list of tools. Not one tool is the tell all, do all. What is that? It's up to Jenny. I thought he was from Tampa. No, Jimmy's in Port St. Lucie, and Bobby's in Dunellen, and then I'm down here. So we kind of got a triangle of the state where the three of us can pretty much cover the entire state and stuff like that. Yeah, like I said, Jimmy's in Port St. Lucie on the coast, so he hit some areas up there. Bobby's in Dunellen, which is not far from Ocala, so he hits those areas. And then I'm down here in Highlands County, so I hit surrounding counties and surrounding areas and stuff like that. But we do try to get together and research a specific area for 3 or 4 days or something like that. Last year we were able to hook up with Johnny Two Bears and one of his guys with Sasquatch Encounter Brigade. They came down, spent a few days with us in one of our research areas, had a fantastic time. In turn, we went up to Georgia to their location, the Happy Place, and we researched that area for a few days, and that was fantastic. Had a great time. In matter of fact, this trip in Tennessee, there's also the possibility that Johnny Two Bears will meet up and join us for that too. I don't know. Like I said, it's all tentative right now. But that's pretty much where I stand. Like I said, I'm going to try and do these lives maybe twice a month or something like that, just to touch base and get to know people and stuff like that. I'm a small channel, very small channel, so I don't expect a lot of people to be in the chat. And I greatly thank you, Randy, for being here. I appreciate it a lot. It helps keep the ball rolling. I like answering questions and stuff like that, and getting to know my subscribers and stuff like that. Because really, you can do everything you want, but really word of mouth is the best way. So telling other people to check out the channel and stuff is always a good thing. So, and last week 2 weeks ago I did this, and again there was only one person in there, Mr. Athos out of Miami, great guy, good guy, like him, and I was kind of hoping he'd pop in today too, but usually I do these things at the spur of the moment. I just decide, yeah, I'm going to do this today. What the heck? So I try to post it on YouTube, letting people know ahead of time, but it's the weekends, and that's the only time I'm going to do it. Monday through Friday, I have a day job. That's what I do. Squatching is not my business. It is my hobby. I like researching, and I like being in the woods. And like I tell people, even if there wasn't a such thing as Sasquatch, I'd still be out there. I'd still be doing what I'm doing. And maybe I'd be looking for the elusive panther or black bear or whatever, but I'd be out there doing my thing. I'd still be camping and enjoying myself. Now, the only thing I don't do anymore is hunt. I don't hunt anymore, but I do enjoy being out in the woods. So, but Randy, definitely hit me up. Definitely send me an email and, give me some details of the area, and I'll definitely look at it and stuff like that. And, yeah, we can probably work something out, Oh, that's a good deal. I used to be a biker. I used to ride religiously, and, definitely enjoy motorcycles and stuff like that. 2012, I got in a really, really bad motorcycle accident, very, very bad accident, and dealt with issues with that for many years. Still can't run. So if it's Bigfoot comes out and it's a fight or flight situation, I guess I'm pretty much screwed. But I definitely love motorcycles. Matter of fact, there's a fourth member of our team. He hasn't been active with us for quite some time, but he is back now in the state of Florida. So hopefully he'll get back out with us. His name is Mike, and he was on one of the shows, one of the biker build-off shows back in the day. He's a welder and fabricator type guy. So hopefully we get him active again and get him in the woods and stuff like that. So, anytime that all of us are together, it's a good time. We have fun. So, any other questions, Randy? You got anything for me? Anything difficult? Throw it at me. Any theories, any ideas? If not, then I'm going to call it a day and relax for the rest of the day, because I get up pretty early. I get up about 3:30 in the morning to go to work. But good times. All right. Well, I'm going to head out. Thank Randy for showing up. I appreciate it a lot. Again, if I see one, you'll be I appreciate it, Randy. I tell everybody, if I catch this thing on film, I already know they exist. I've had way too many close encounters and stuff like that to tell me that there's nobody can convince me there's nothing out there. But I tell people all the time when I'm in the woods and I'm filming that they will all be the first to know, because I will be putting it out there. There's no secrets with me. If it is what it is, same as when I go out there and I don't get anything, I let people know, hey, this is what research is all about. You don't always get anything. But if I do get something, trust me, I'm going to put it out there. And my goal is that 10 seconds, just 10 seconds of video of catching this thing in motion. So the film can be analyzed. We can look at it, hopefully answer some more questions and stuff like that, So, all right, Randy. Well, I appreciate everybody. I want to thank you guys for being here, and those that have missed it, it'll be on there. You can watch it later or whatever. Like I said, the film I put out today, the short, like I said, it wasn't mostly research. It was basically practicing with the drone as a tool to use for research. So take it for what it's worth. And that's about it. So I will talk to you guys again. Like I said, I'll be back out in the woods next week. If anybody has any questions or, you have any input, again, you can email me at BFFG Bigfoot Research. It's all one word, BFFG Bigfoot Research, just like what's behind me, at gmail.com. So BFFG Bigfoot Research at gmail.com. Also, tell your friends, let them know about the channel. We're growing at a good pace. I'm happy where we're at. I'm never going to monetize. So I set goals for myself, but monetization is not on that list whatsoever. Yeah, Randy, it does. And I have a copy of that. And I've shown it to people on different podcasts that I've been on. I've also emailed it to people, showing them. It absolutely does say it. It's in a hog section. So they kind of hide it in plain sight. So it is in there. It says, that you're not allowed to, shoot a skunk ape or Bigfoot or whatever they want to call it. So I think it says you're not allowed to take one, but yeah, we found that it really went viral, but that was found a couple of years ago, and by another researcher who shared it with us, and then we kind of like blasted it out there saying, look at this. That's not the only thing too. Listen, Randy, I actually have the notes that were taken back in the 1970s with the Florida legislature discussing the skunk ape. They were just in that they're discussing, what do we call it, and what are some of the things that we can do to preserve it or whatever, or give it its room or whatever. But the bottom line is they acknowledge in these notes that this thing does exist, and I have copies of that as well. So so the proof is out there. There's enough proof. If all this proof was on a human, there'd be enough to convict. But yet, the same proof, we can't convince people that this thing exists. So it's an uphill battle and stuff like that. So all we can do is continue to go out there, and there's some fantastic researchers out there doing fantastic work. They're out there doing the job. They're in the woods, and they're doing what I'm doing, is trying to get as much evidence and hopefully catch this thing on film. That's the ultimate goal. Wow, 100 miles. That's a lot. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm going to go. Need to relax a little bit, get my uniform ready for work tomorrow and stuff like that. So thanks, Randy, for being here. I appreciate you. Hopefully I'll see you in the future, and hopefully you come back and join us on the live chats again. It was definitely enjoyable talking to you, and God bless you. God bless all my subscribers. You're part of why I do this, because you're the people that I'm going to share this information with. And I 100% appreciate each and every one of you guys. I do. I do not take you for granted. So again, God bless you. Have a fantastic week. And I will be seeing you guys soon. And I will definitely be out there next weekend. Talk to you later.